y'all thought the Vienna Vikings were just going to roll through the second half of the season? Nah. Jacob Sullivan and the Galaxy has something to say about that. And we got drama in Week 11. It's the recap. Let's go.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Base Coverage, presented to you by our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. We got a lot of drama that happened in Week 11. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. You know, just when we thought we're trying to figure out who's going to be the fourth team in, nah, we got a race for the number one seed now. So there's going to be a lot relying on the line these next 3 weeks. So we'll get into it and we'll talk about that. Had a bad week in picks. Bad week in picks. But shout out to David for the win as he took home the victory this week for our Knoah picks. So we'll dive into some games right after this quick word by our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. And we're gonna dive into the Ryan Fire traveled to Turkey to play the Istanbul Rams. Hey, I said it and I put my name on it. I thought the Fire were on upset alert. I felt like at the time the Rams were the better team and really playing better than the Fire over the past couple of weeks. But the Fire looks like they got their things together as they keep their playoff hopes alive with a 50-32 victory over the Rams. Jadrian Clark looked like he was comfortable, 5-17 for 7 touchdowns. He had a great day. Timothy Knoah welcome back with a nice performance, having 4 of those touchdowns. And the Rams, they just couldn't stop them. And I kind of said it in the pregame that I thought, you know, the mismatch was the Fire skill players versus the Rams secondary, and that ultimately played out in this game. I still thought they were going to find a way to edge it through just because of how they competed the last 2 games, but nah, the Fire kept their hopes alive. They put a statement on this game, beating the Rams, and as they look to keep their player hopes fighting for that number 4 spot. We'll see how things pan out, but Fire took this one home easily. So Barcelona Dragons traveled to Cologne to play the Centurions. Was unsure in terms of the quarterback situation for the Centurions heading into this game, but ultimately Jan ended up playing this game. I think as a team performance, Cologne, they're just sloppy, man. I mean, you know, turnovers, interceptions, not playing well. And, you know, Barcelona was just a better team, and they're the better team all around. With Cologne officially eliminated for the playoffs, this is not breaking any news, but we will officially have a new team in the round of 4 coming in a couple weeks. So that'd be interesting to see. Barcelona played well. I think now we gotta start thinking in terms of, you know, how the Barcelona team is going to fare with some of the top teams when they get to the playoffs. Kyle Sweet had another monster game. He's on the verge of winning the Triple Crown for leading in catches, receptions, and touchdowns for all receivers. Him and Zach just have a great connection. So ultimately Barcelona, you know, they did their thing this game. They took care of business to notch up a win. They don't clinch the South as of yet, but you know, we'll see how things plan out, and possibly they could do it next week in their matchup. So Barcelona takes this one. It was the easy one for the Dragons. Berlin Thunder go to Poland and pull out another victory. I think it's safe to say that it's no longer, you know, hard to win in Poland, as they've lost their past couple of games at home. They're just not the same team that they were last year, and them also being eliminated from the playoffs, it invites another new team possibly into the mix. Berlin, they just continue their winning streak. They're gelling and they're playing well at the same time. They got up to a 20-0 lead, and then Panthers were able to cut that down to an 8-point lead. And then by far, this is the stupidest play I've ever seen in Europe. I'm not gonna say just football in general, but I think the Panthers get a kick return. Lars Steffen returns it, almost scores, and then tries to lateral it to a teammate. Berlin ultimately recovers. That leads to another touchdown. Now, it was only the 3rd quarter when this happened. They were down by 8. And that play right there might have lost the game for the Panthers. They were in scoring position, or they were almost in scoring position. They could have scored, possibly get the 2-point conversion, but giving it away like that just showed the level of desperation, for the team and, the state of the organization where they are. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Berlin keeps winning. Now, Berlin has a huge matchup versus Hamburg. And Hamburg's a team that no matter how many times you doubt them, count them out, they just keep on stacking wins and wins and wins. So this is definitely a different Berlin team from week one. And this is going to be a game I'm going to be so excited to watch next week. It's going to be a physical game. But if Berlin really wants to make a statement, they got to win next week because it's going to put them in a position to – because it's going to put them in a good playoff position. They still got to go through the Raiders and stuff. But you never know what can happen. That'll give Hamburg 2 losses. That's a whole lot of stuff to dive into. But Berlin played great. Joe Giminario, what can you say? He's getting better week by week. Jock had a nice little game too. And that Berlin defense is, one of the best right now in the league. So Berlin Thunder secure this. Panthers eliminated from the playoffs. Leipzig Kings versus the Hamburg Sea Devils. Hey, if I'm being honest, this was basically a bye week for the Sea Devils offense because they got out of hand early. We had a punt block for a touchdown, pick 6 for a touchdown, pick 6 for a touchdown. I mean, the Hamburg Sea Devils, their offense really didn't have to do nothing this whole game. The Kings really put themselves in bad, situations. I don't even think they crossed the 50 probably like the first half, but this game just got out of hand early. It was basically the Kings offense versus the Sea Devils defense the whole game, or at least the whole first half. There's not much to say here. Obviously, we knew the Kings were eliminated going into this, but like I mentioned before, you keep doubting the Sea Devils, and we keep saying they're not as good as we think, or their schedule's easy, but they just keep doing what they got to do and take care of business, and that's what makes next week's game versus Berlin so intriguing because this is a different Berlin team, and that Hamburg has to travel to Berlin to play them. This defense, this is gonna be a great defensive matchup. We're gonna see how this matchup fares, but Sea Devils, they just take care of business, and because of recent events, they're fighting for the number 1 seed now. And, we all thought it was going to be Vienna, but, we'll see what happens there. But, Sea Devils take care of what they got to do. They just got out of here early. Kings eliminated from the playoffs. Stuttgart Surge versus the Raiders of Tyrol. Hey, this one's easy. Stuttgart's done. Raiders just keep winning, keep doing what they got to do. And Raiders are that team where we know where they are, we know where they stand, but I don't think people are giving them the credit that they deserve. And they just keep handling their business. So with that being said, again, Stuttgart, we already knew they're eliminated. Really, at this point, is the question for Stuttgart is are they going to win before the end of the season? I don't see it, but we'll see what happens. Shout out to the Raiders. They take care of what they got to do. And for them, the Raiders, it's one more matchup against the Galaxy, one more matchup against Berlin. And this playoff push is – these next 3 weeks are going to be so exciting. But shout out to the Raiders for securing their win at home. They go to 4-1 at home. Last but not least, the Vienna Vikings versus the Frankfurt Galaxy. Did we really think Vienna was just going to blow through the second half of the season and possibly go undefeated for that number 1 seed? Nah, Jacob Sullivan has something else planned for them as the Frankfurt Galaxy demolished, blown through that Vikings defense. And it's almost like, which loss hurts more? Is it the Rams beating the Dragons, or is it the Galaxy beating the Vikings? Because we don't know what the outcome could have been having Jacob been not injured on their first matchup. But this is a huge win for Frankfurt, especially for a team that has, a crucial, next couple of weeks with, the Raiders coming up and the Fire next week. So they took care of what they got to do here. And, that Frankfurt front 7 played viciously against Vienna and kind of showed a set of dominance that we haven't seen a team, provide against the Vikings all season. Vikings now, I mean, you got to play because that number 1 spot it's not guaranteed. Now, with having a loss, they're tied with the Sea Devils now for that number 1 spot. So it's going to be interesting to see, when things shake up because you still got to play the Dragons coming up. So that's not going to be an easy win. So it's crazy, man. I mean, I didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming really, but Frankfurt is just crazy because like they've been so inconsistent. You go to Poland and you win on a field goal and then you blow out Vienna. So you don't know which Frankfurt Galaxy team you're going to get. If they could play like this, Frankfurt's a championship team contender if they could play like this. But if you play like you played last week versus the Panthers, you might miss the playoffs or you might get bounced the first week. So I don't want to take anything from their win. Shout out to the Galaxy. Shout out to Jacob Sullivan who put on performance. Shout out to that defense with the injuries that they've been battling. No Sebastian Gautier, no Josh Posnowski with a vicious win over the Vikings. Listen, it shook up the league. It's impressive to me. And now not only do we know who that 14, we don't know who the 14 is going to be, but now we don't even know what seeding is going to look like going forward because Vikings lose one more game or the Sea Devils lose one game, you know, it's a 3-team race between Berlin, Hamburg, and Vienna. So I think it's going to be a wake-up call for sure. But we'll see what happens coming up in the next couple of weeks. You know, when we talk about picks this week, it was a rough one. Shout out to my guy, David Ducal, as you can see on the screen here, winning the pick. So therefore, no free gear to give out. But next week's another week, so we'll see what happens next week. As we look forward towards next week, don't forget to check out the pregame show every Friday as we'll talk and make some picks on the upcoming week's NFL games. The 2 games I am interested about: Hamburg Sea Devils versus the Berlin Thunder, Frankfurt Galaxy versus the Rhine Fire. You want to talk about teams possibly getting eliminated from the playoffs? It starts next week. And don't forget to tune in as we're going to pregame and talk about the show, all right? Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Like the show. Comment below. Let's talk about it because, like I always say, this ain't going to be the last time we chop it up.
Nobody. Hard work, they don't know about it. Hard work, they don't know about it. Hard work, they don't know about it.